A missing person is not declared legally dead in Maine for 7 years, but all I need is 7 months. Maybe Charles Price planted the seed with his fraternity prank, maybe not. But if my plan works, it will solve all my problems. If it doesn't, then I'll have to find another way to escape the Price family's control. If only I hadn't camped out on Haskins Hill with the outing club during orientation week, finding the idea quaint and romantic, full of that New England charm I'd come looking for, all red brick and white trim and green ivy. Lacrosse games, a cappella singing groups, and musty labyrinths of library stacks. If only my parents were still alive. If only it hadn't started to rain. I hadn't heard the rumors about the Royals yet. I didn't know the truth behind the lies. But I'm getting ahead of myself. I will do my best to stick to the truth. At least, the truth as I remember it. And you can judge for yourself. Once classes had finished for the school year, I pulled Lauren's car alongside the outing club shack as the last rays of afternoon sun descended over the library tower. A guy manning the inventory, who would have benefited from a bar of soap, pulled his head out of his Appalachian trail map long enough to help me manhandle the canoe onto the roof and strap it down. Sunrise was scheduled for 5:11 a.m. I set my alarm for 3:30 and dressed in layers of wicking fabrics. I gave one last look around my dorm room. My toiletries waited in my shower bucket next to my towel. My books fanned across my desk and nightstand. Tacked to my bulletin board were pictures of friends, comic strips, and a fortune from a cookie. My bed was made and my dirty clothes were piled in my hamper. No one besides me would recognize anything was missing. I locked the door and snuck out of my dorm into the foggy darkness of pre-dawn. The pathway lamps cast islands of light that I followed to the parking lot, where the bulky shape of the canoe made the car easier to spot in the far row. At the Lone Loon Pond campground, I eased myself under the canoe and braced, hoping to reap the benefits from all my track team weight room squats. Balancing the craft on my shoulders, I maneuvered it from the roof of the car down onto the boat ramp, bruising my shin in the process. I looped my arms through the life jacket, grabbed the paddle, and hid Lauren's keys behind the gas cap cover. The boat ramp disappeared into an ink-black void. The shoreline along the campground was uninhabited, and no light shone from the camps farther around the lake. I waded into the water until the canoe floated, then settled myself on the rear seat and launched into the dark. As I paddled toward the rumored location of where the town once stood, the water lapped lightly against the boat's side. The still air hummed with crickets, and a solitary loon wailed into the darkness. Water dripped from each stroke of my paddle, and I smelled pine and lake water. A light mist hung over the surface. About a mile from shore, I let the canoe drift. The sky was starting to lighten. Stars no longer visible overhead, but dawn still half an hour away.